Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today, we are going to take a signature summer garden tour of Mimi's garden. We just had the Creekside Signature Experience last week, and Mimi's garden is part of the rotation that our guests got to take. So I am going to walk you through the path that they took here at Mimi's garden. Of course, Mimi is my mom. She lives just, we're next door neighbors, we're country neighbors, and so when you come to the nursery, you leave the nursery, you can see a part of her garden because we are that close. But basically, she lives in a dry shade area. She's got huge mature pine trees that she lives under and gardens under, and so she maintains this garden 100% herself. It is a stunning garden. She has her own gardening style, like we all do, and it is just fabulous. Last year when we had the Signature Experience, this was definitely the favorite rotation within the day that the folks just absolutely loved. So she switched it up just a little bit as far as her rotation. So I am going to walk you through that. It's not so much plant specific focus that we're going to talk about because you're going to see she has a ton of plants. This is more about inspiration and just appreciating each other's gardens. And so I just thought it would be fun to walk through. It is early in the morning. The sun is just coming up. And so again, here we go. So just to kind of give you a perspective, if you come to the nursery or you're familiar with the nursery or where we are, so this is what we call the walnut field because it has walnut trees. And so the walnut field kind of separates their property from our property, just panning over a little bit. So of course that's our mailbox, the entrance bed, the entrance to the our house and the gardens. And then here we go over here is her gardens on this side. So this is where we are going to begin. Here on the corner of the garden, this is going to be the most sun area that Mimi has, minus her Monarch waystation. Here on the edge of the walnut field, this will get great midday afternoon sun a bit. And so like she has got, this is the fig tree, one of her fig trees, like I have a fig tree at my house. This came from our grandmother. Mama propagated it, brought it home, kept propagating it. And so we have grandmama's fig trees here. So that's a nice kind of cornerstone here that she then has filled in with tons of perennials. The vast majority of her garden is going to be perennials. She will have just a few little annuals through here, but Mimi is definitely a shrub perennial gardener. She doesn't really have time to fuss with annuals. Plus, like I said, most of her gardens are shade, and honestly, you know, you have a ton of annuals that are for the sun, and so she just doesn't have that, so she doesn't fuss with it. But you know, you've got daylilies that are in bloom, and y'all, if I see a tag and I know the name of it, I will tell you. But some of these things are just not marked, and Mimi doesn't really want to be on camera. So I respect that, and so that's why she's not on camera. And so you've got these beautiful, nice, I love the shape and the star shape of this flower on that daylily, just beautiful. And then of course, echinaceas are coming in all of their glory. Absolutely gorgeous. So she's got quite a few different ones right here. This one is fabulous. Now, the main thing that Mimi deals with, the challenges in her garden are going to be, number one, the voles. And so she has been dealing with voles pretty badly for the past couple of years. And so I don't know if you can see, but she's got permatil right here. That is that aggregate that really is supposed to deter the critters from digging, also provides drainage, and since it is like a rock, it will not it won't break down, so it lasts for a long time. So she's been using that, and then she's been using the vole bags. The vole bags work great, especially when you're putting new plants in, but if you have a bunch of plants that are already in the garden, then obviously you'd have to dig them up and then replant them in here. But these are those soft wire mesh bags that you literally put the plant in. It is a bag, and so the roots can still go through, but your main part of the plant is all protected right here. And so you leave a little bit of it up so that way the critters don't go over it. So you're going to see some of those throughout here in her garden. So the The voles are definitely her #1 pest problem. Then it is a dry shade garden. She has 0 irrigation here, so there is like literally no irrigation. If it gets watered, it's from the good Lord, or it is from Mimi watering it. So here she's got some beautiful cannas. I want to say this is Cleopatra, and it is a beautiful, beautiful canna. The quote problem with cannas is that the Japanese beetles also enjoy them quite well. So Mimi, of course, is not afraid of color. She's going to have tons of color in here. Lots of reds and oranges and yellows, just beautiful display. This is, of course, her Harry Lauder walking stick with the drops of Jupiter oregano in front of it. So a beautiful combination right there. She does really lean into, if it works, then she's going to use it and be quite happy with it. So like the Delosperma, she's going to have a lot of ice plant through here. She too is dealing with rabbits. I think we share the same rabbits. So the rabbits came and were nibbling on her portulaca. So she's covered one of them in here and just trying to protect them. She's also going to have a lot of fun yard art, whether it's bird houses or wind sculptures, all sorts of great things that she really has a lot of fun with. And then this is, when we were walking through, this is the coolest plant right here. It's actually a ligustrum, and so it has this funky shape to it, and you do like quote prune it, and you prune it in the fact of when it has the little side shoots, you would come in and prune that off. So you want it to have that really whimsical look to it. Again, it is a ligustrum. One of her sweet friends, Miss Kathy, suggested that she needed to get this because it has that funky habit to it, and Kathy knew that it would be perfect for Mama's garden. So there you go. So going back, so we are blessed not to have any kind of deer pressure. Our pressure comes right now from rabbits. And so the rabbits are having some fun in the garden. And right here, this section is basically an island because she'll have this, and then there's a pathway, and then there's more garden back there. So no deer pressure, but lots of, like I said, she has the voles. Thankfully, they have not made their way to us. I'm hoping that the gravel road will keep them from coming to us. But salvias and, of course, your daisies, loves grasses. I get my love of grasses from my mama. And so this is, as one of the signs says, this is not dead. This is what it looks like. This is toffee twist, and this is a sedge. Really fun, right? It has that beautiful copper brown look to it. She's got 4 clumps right here. Obviously a nice low, wide sedge. So she has that, but then here she has a very upright, gorgeous, variegated grass in there as well. Of course, the daylilies, just stunning on that. Like, look at that beautiful, really soft peach. Oh, love it. And so Mimi is definitely a collector of plants. So when we were talking about how she's going to do this tour with Signature folks, I said, Mama, what they care about is the stories behind the plants, and then your how do you come up and design your garden? And she was like, I just throw plants in there. And I was like, well, that's perfect. That's exactly what they want to hear. And so, yeah, and that's where I probably get that from my mama, is because I find plants and I love it and then I add it to the garden. So obviously, like the Gaillardia, doing really well. So here she's got sedums, she's got Gaillardias, she has got some Heliopsis right there. And just, again, big, bold colors, trying to attract all the pollinators. This is like a, what do you call it? Like an angel trumpet, that massive, huge, and it'll do those big, I think they're white or they're pale yellow, you know, blooms on it. You can see where they're starting to form that massive plant. And then this is her fennel, and the fennel is a fantastic host plant for the butterflies. I want to say it's the swallowtail. And so this plant will almost be completely decimated. It is a giant fennel. I mean, this thing is every bit of 6 feet tall, but a wonderful perennial host plant for those swallowtails. So she's got sedums. She has got like her lavender right here. She was like, it is so old. She doesn't even remember what kind it is, but it is massive. Of course, your pollinators love it. So when Mimi, again, when she's designing her gardens, it is when she's out with the Master Gardener group and they're visiting gardens, she finds a plant that she really loves. She adds it in and she just lets plants, if they're happy, for the most part, she lets them do their thing. So the Russian sage through here has been here for quite a long time. She's like, well, it's kind of wild and woolly. I'm like, Mama, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Leave it alone. Don't move it at all. And then coming down through here, so where she lost this panicle hydrangea, and most folks, probably including myself, would be like, oh my gosh, you know, this thing is dead. We've got to get this out of here. Like, it's an eyesore. And so what she's going to do is she is going to get a clematis, plant the clematis at the base, and let this be the support for her clematis. And I'm like, that's genius. That is fantastic. What a great idea. Again, so she's got me come over here because there's cactus right there, and I don't want to walk through that. She's got, this is an old like metal ladder that was probably something from my daddy, like a farm equipment. So she has got a honeysuckle. And so she put some chicken wire on it and is letting that be the trellis for this honeysuckle and going up the pine tree. So there you go. She uses all sorts of things. She recycles things. Even like, I know I've showed this to you several times, when they used to get the mail, not the mail, the newspaper, this was their newspaper box. So Daddy, I think, spray painted it for her. And then that's her little, where she keeps her little stash of garden tools. So in case, you know, she's out in the garden and it's caught without her tools, she can just head over to the newspaper box and grab them. You're going to see lots of wind sculptures in Mimi's garden. These she has collected, oh my gosh, for years and years and years. These are all Lyman Whitaker wind sculptures. She bought them at the what was it, Grovewood Gallery in Asheville. So it's part of like the Biltmore, that part of, and so it's an art gallery. They sell the Lyman Whitakers, and so it'll spin, and then of course the wind, and I think this is the double helix where it'll flip. So she's got tons of these in the garden. You're gonna see those all come from Lyman Whitaker. So if you're interested, you can check those out. I know different art galleries will carry his pieces. This Miss Huff lantana, which is it is a perennial lantana for us here in North Carolina, a reliable perennial, but she's a beautiful beast. So Mimi has to keep her controlled in here. See, there's another one. This is like the one that we have at the garden center. If you can see that spinning. And that just like the slightest little breeze and it'll spin. So yes, so on this side, this is where she focuses on her pollinators, lots of sun things. And then they're gonna cut through her little path right here. And then they're gonna go more into the shade. So of course, Mimi has tons of hydrangeas, like this beautiful ruby slippers that has been here for years. Her spigilla is, oh my word, she has got spigilla like crazy. I'm pretty sure this is Little Redhead, which is a great native perennial. You'll find that kind of in the mountain settings in North Carolina in the southeast. And it clearly loves her garden because she has got babies everywhere. I mean, they are all over the place. And so clearly her conditions are ideal for this plant because, like I said, it is dropping seeds like crazy, which is a good thing. This is not one of those plants that you would consider a nuisance plant. It is definitely a great one because the pollinators, your hummingbirds, absolutely love it. Of course, she is a certified bird habitat through the Doug Tallamy. So she is definitely supporting all of her pollinators, her birds, and all the things in here. So coming through, this is like, she's got lots of oak leaf hydrangeas because they work really well for her. And then she has got macrophyllus, she has got serratas. She has got them all, my friends, because this garden is perfect for these hydrangeas. Tons of color. Some she remembers what they are, and some she does not. So this is a ruby something. I forget what she said this was, but it was a ruby something because it has the red stems on it. Beautiful lace cap, but she couldn't remember what these two were. Clearly, we have very acidic soil because of all the pine trees here. And so her pH dependent plants, her hydrangeas, are going to be in those blues. And so she has tons of gorgeous shades of blue in her hydrangeas. And then like this one, not sure, again, oh, there is a tag. Let's see what the tag says. Okay, so this is the LA Dreamin', which is so fun because remember we were just at the nursery the other day and my LA Dreamin' is like electric blue. Well, look at hers. So on the same plant, like literally even on the same bloom, you have got a pink side and a purple side. That's what's so cool about LA Dreamin' is that it will have all those colors. So one plant, you've got really rich pink, you've got a really rich blue, you've got purples. And trust me, she does not try to manipulate the plants. It is what it is. They're doing this completely on their own. And then she has 3 Haas halos. So Haas halo was like the #1 hydrangea for attracting pollinators in the Mount Cuba trials. And so she got 3 of her Haas halos. She thinks that they're not as covered in pollinators because she thinks that they're not, because they're so much in the shade. And pollinators, of course, love the sun because of the heat. But regardless whether it is a huge pollinator attractor for her, it is a huge, gorgeous attraction in general and just absolutely stunning. So she's got like Feather Falls carex. She's got another carex. She's got some eucharis right here, autumn ferns, painted ferns. So and she's got pulmonaria back here. She's got brunnera. So there is a ton of different beautiful hydrangeas. Oh, that little knoll fell off from the tree, y'all. I don't know if you saw that. Bless his heart, he just went for a ride. I thought it was a limb, but there's a knoll right here, and he like a little lizard, and he just fell from the tree onto the hydrangea. Bless his heart, scared him to death. And so she has, like I said, leans in, and that's what I adore about her garden, is it's always something different, right? It is not a quote formal garden where it's all perfectly planned out and perfect straight lines. And this is like a real country cottage garden in that shade. Stunning. I always get so much inspiration, even though we have drastically different growing conditions, because I am full sun, I have irrigation, she is dry shade, a very mature garden. Mine's a relatively new garden in the terms of garden speaking. And so, but I always come away with something that she has done, whether it is the beautiful yard art that she is using, how she elevates plants. She'll put them in pots. And a lot of times she puts plants in pots like this gorgeous hosta, because out of necessity with the voles. And so she has got beautiful collections of hostas in pots. Notice that she raises them up off the ground. So hostas, the pulmonaria, hydrangeas, ferns, all sorts of things, and so that she puts in those containers and just can enjoy them that way without having to worry about the critters. Of course, the downside is that you've got to hand water them if it's not raining. So she does spend a lot of time piddling, as we say in the garden, whether it is from the weeding or from the watering of the plants. This is one of my favorite spots of hers, how she has done this collection of plants through here, and using whether it is bricks to elevate the pots, stones, stumps, pieces of wood that my daddy has cut. And so gorgeous. I mean, that is stunning. It is absolutely beautiful. I love this collection. And then she has more as she comes across through here underneath this dogwood tree that's been here for as long as I can remember. Just Solomon seal. She's got different varieties of Solomon seal. She has tons of aspidistra, the cast iron plant, because obviously in dry shade, aspidistra just thrives here. But even in the dry shade, she's able to do all of these ferns, and they just do really, really well. So then they're going to come through here. They're going to have a little snack break, a little sit if they want to. Got some nice ice cold beverages for them. Knowing Mimi, she'll probably make them some cookies and have some cookies right here. And then they're going to come around through the garage, the driveway up here, and take a look at her hydrangeas here. These are just good old classic macrophylla hydrangeas. These hydrangeas, I think, honestly, are older than I am. My parents moved into this house, built the house, moved in when Mama was pregnant with me, and so that was, 48 years ago that they built this house, and I think these hydrangeas have been here the entire time. Like, as long as I can remember, they have been here. Just classic Mac hydrangeas. She'll whack them every couple of years, but just massive. Again, same plant. Look at that. On one plant, it is pink. One stem is pink, and one it is blue. She's got some purples in there. I know they've been cutting on these for a lot of arrangements and vases and things, but those are just beautiful. And then growing up, this part, we did have grass, but as the trees have matured and gotten bigger, of course, her sun has gone down. And so she's just turned it all into gardens. Again, no irrigation, y'all. None whatsoever. And then we have the Tough Stuff hydrangeas. So she's got 3 of them right here, and they have just been wildly successful right here. They get enough sun so they flower, but they don't get burned. It is that great weird situation where she doesn't get a ton of sun, but she doesn't get, it's just weird. Like, it's just odd how it works out. So they are doing well. Massive, great serrata hydrangeas right here. And then spinning and coming over again, she has got the Empress of China. I want to make sure I said that right. I think I did. Dogwood tree. So she says she's had this for about 12 years, I think she said, somewhere around that, and it maxes out at 15 feet. So it is getting close, but it is absolutely a gorgeous dogwood. I mean, stunning. And of course, dogwoods typically around here will bloom in early spring. You think kind of Easter, right, with the dogwoods. This is obviously a very later bloomer, but my gosh, covered. And it has, I mean, every year it faithfully puts out that number of beautiful blooms on the tree. So I love that. If I could find one of those, I would grab it in a heartbeat and add it to my garden. And then there you go. So lots of different inspiration through here. The guys with the guys and gals with the signature experience are then going to come and walk through here. This is going to be different than last year. And they're going to come through here. This is where she has got a lot of her aspidistra. She has kind of planted them along the side of the path, finding some great pieces of wood. She's doing her little stumpery. Hellebores, she's got tons of hellebores in here. Different, like I said, the different aspidistra, putting those wood pieces in here. She's got a little bench that Daddy had made from her off of the sawmill. Again, a nice little collection of pots right there. Walking through, she has got a big leaf magnolia right here, which is a very unique plant that's only really found in certain areas. And so she has, this is just what they call a big leaf magnolia. So she has got one here, and it is doing well. And then they're going to come through the pathway, and then they are going to come on up to her Monarch waystation. As we come through, she has got the one of the Michael Carr strawberry planters filled with succulents, very much like I do with the sempervivums, however you want to say it. So it's in here, beautiful. Again, on top of an old stump. Isn't that fantastic? Like, look at that. That is a great log. Oh, love that. So just a real quick, they're going to come through here, through the backside of the walnut field and then up to the Monarch way station. We had had a Monarch come through and we were hoping that she had laid some eggs, but it does not appear that she did because we can't find any little babies on the milkweed. But again, this Monarch way station, we've filmed this several times. It is a new garden. It is less than a year old. And so she created it first. She started way up at the top with just some sun stuff. And then she was having so much fun. Then she went ahead and pursued and got her Monarch way station status. And so she has got the food sources for the monarchs and really for all pollinators. She has got the water. She has got the host plants. She has got the plants that attract the butterflies and the pollinators in here. So she's going to bring the folks up here and let them take a look at the Monarch way station and all the fun things that she has added in here, and just enjoying this space for sure. Then what they're going to do is, because we're right here at production, they will leave here and then go to the production tour. And so Mimi's garden is always such a fun source of inspiration for me. I love coming to it. It is infinitely, in the summertime, at least 20 degrees cooler than my yard because of all the shade and the pine trees and just the loveliness, and so serene and quiet. So again, remember, Mimi's garden, very mature, right? Has been here really in the last, I would say, like 20 years. She has really poured her heart into it because beforehand she was a teacher. And as you know, teachers don't have a whole lot of free time. So once she retired, then that's when she really began pouring into her garden. But yes, so she maintains it herself. Daddy will help here and there, like if she has a project she needs, or, you know, limbs taken down or that kind of thing. But as far as like the gardening and the maintenance, Mama does 100% of it herself, and yeah, no irrigation, which is absolutely phenomenal. So as always, Mama, thank you so much for letting me come and take a tour of your garden. I know that our guests are going to love it. The event's actually tomorrow, and that they have enjoyed it, because as when this video films or actually debuts. And so yes, we appreciate it. I know all the guests appreciate it. It was a huge, like I said, the number one thing that they loved last year was Mimi's garden, because it's just so unique. And then of course Mimi herself is the one giving the garden tour, and she's just fabulous unto herself. So as always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. If you have, we would love it if you would like and subscribe. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. Y'all have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.